Thank you, Chairman Tonko. Recycling has long been an essential tool in our environmental protection toolbox. Unfortunately, it's clear from the plastic pollution in our oceans that our recycling system is simply not working. Plastic pollution is contaminating our air, our land, and our water and contributing to the climate crisis. I was going to mention that Mr. Shimkus and I are co-chairs of the House Recycling Caucus, but he already mentioned it, and he doesn't seem to be too happy this morning. I don't know why, but usually he smiles more. But I did want to say on a more somber note that I do, if I can say, Bill Johnson, that I do miss Mark Ryder. And, you know, he at ISRI was always the main person who would remind me about all the things we needed to do with recycling and the future of recycling. So I do miss him today, Bill, but it's good to see you here, Bill. Recycling can play an important role in addressing climate change and reducing pollution in our communities while also boosting local economies, but we'll only realize those benefits if we modernize what is becoming an outdated system. At the same time, we can't forget that recycle is the third R in reduce, reuse, recycle. As we examine ways to address the plastic waste crisis, we must consider what happens to materials both before and after they reach the consumer. And that means reducing the amount of waste we generate in the first place, while also creating the right incentives to reuse recyclable material. And we now understand the important role composting can play in reducing waste going to landfills and contaminants in our recycling system. This is particularly important if we substitute compostable products for single-use plastics and other difficult-to-recycle items. Now, for decades, you know, the U.S. shipped most of its recyclables, including 70% of its plastic, to China for processing. And this was profitable for American recyclers and hid any environmental costs from the American public. But the truth was that up to 30% of that material exported was contaminated and making it unrecyclable. In 2018, China banned the import of most plastic waste and mixed paper material as part of an effort to curtail pollution. And this policy shift has changed the U.S. recycling market and is forcing us to recognize that much of what we thought we were recycling was actually being discarded. Some municipalities have been forced to scale back their recycling programs, while others are canceling curbside collection altogether. With no viable alternatives, many communities have been left with no choice but to direct their waste to landfills, and many are looking beyond recycling to efforts to reduce waste to solve the problem. Others are considering outright adopting bans on plastic bags, straws, and other single-use plastics, and some cities are employing incineration to turn waste to energy, and this offers climate benefits compared to landfilling, but does not offer the same level of environmental benefits as recycling or source reduction. For certain materials, the recycling system is working relatively well. Aluminum, for example, is 90% of that is, I guess, recycled. But of all the aluminum, ever produced in North America, 75% remains in use today. But that's not the same for plastics. Over the last 60 years, about 8 billion tons of plastic have been produced globally, and about 75% has become waste. And it's often cheaper to make new plastics from fossil fuels than to recycle it. And because plastic takes more than 400 years to degrade, most of this waste is either languishing in landfills or found in the environment as litter. One study estimates that there will be more plastic than fish in the ocean by 2050. And this pollution contributes significantly to climate change. Last year, global greenhouse gas emissions from plastic production, transport, and disposal was equal to the emissions from 189 coal-fired power plants. And that footprint is projected to more than triple by 2050, consuming up to 13% of the planet's remaining carbon budget. So solving the climate crisis will require strong action to address emissions from production and disposal of plastic. And this committee has been hard at work developing legislative solutions to address the climate crisis. In January, we released the Clean Future Act, which will put the U.S. on a path to net zero greenhouse gas emissions by 2050. When we released that draft, we noted several areas needing further work, including recycling issues. So I'm pleased that we're holding this hearing today to continue that work, and I look forward to hearing the witnesses' perspectives on how we can modernize our recycling system and our economy, particularly to solve the plastic waste crisis. So thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is a very important hearing.